All right, what is up, guys? Welcome back to the FitBiz Podcast. Really pumped today. We have a friend of mine, also client, Brandon Byer, who is a current U.S. Army Staff Sergeant, and he is. We're going to break down exactly how Brandon was able to go from essentially zero. He had two clients coming in to IFCA about 3.5 months ago, roughly 4 months ago, to $500 in his first month, and then boom, all the way to $9,300, and then $10,400 within his third month. So we're going to talk about kind of the steps that Brandon was able to conquer to get there. And I'm just going to dive in like a little bit to who Brandon is, man. He's a really fascinating, smart dude with a lot of experience. And man, there's going to be a lot to take away from this. So Brandon, man, how are you, dude? We appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, I'm doing really good, man. I appreciate you having me on and doing well. Just pumped to be able to get on this podcast and talk to you and talk to everybody. Especially since I listened to it for a couple of months before actually joining IFCA. So it's awesome, man.
Yeah, no, that's good to hear. And, we'll kind of dive into that as well in terms of just the trust building process, man. And getting some results in advance, kind of giving you an experience and those kind of things. But man, you grasp things really well and fast. And one question that I asked Brandon as we came into this was, what were you doing prior to deciding to start the business? Because what I've noticed is there's a pattern that, some students who do really grasp things and they implement fast, they're quick to act, they figure shit out. It's like, what did you do before this? Where did those skills come from? Because a lot of times those things aren't natural, man. So take us back. Like, where did you garnish your character traits? Where did you garnish your fundamental skills that allowed you to have this quick success?
Yeah, so definitely, I've been in the Army, like you said, for about a decade now. So a lot of the experience, leadership experience, and just working within different levels and sizes of teams and stuff, from team, squad, platoon, just bigger and bigger as we go. But just that experience itself put me in a really good position and gave me a lot of experience with working with individuals, talking with them, working through different struggles that people have and that soldiers were having and that kind of thing, to get them to grasp concepts I needed them to grasp and just train them and mentor them and show them how to do the job efficiently and effectively and in a way that they were motivated to do it for all the right reasons. So definitely the Army helped a bunch. I had a lot of great leaders myself coming up in the military. And I just took everything that they taught me and kind of brought it into my own and then utilized that to work with clients and stuff and just mentor them as best as I could and be the best example for them that I could. So that's kind of like where everything came from, just the experience with working with people.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And it's interesting that you said that, because I was thinking about this the other day, like part of where my role has developed in the company as of late, it's like, how can I take information that frameworks and systems and things, and how do I communicate that to our team in a way that not only they can understand, but that they're bought into the reason that we're doing it. Right. And I think that's a big thing. Well, I've read Jocko Willink's book, Extreme Ownership, and he talks about that a lot in the military. Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
But he's like, look, it's not even, if you don't have buy-in, then nobody's going to, you can tell people the perfect plan, but unless they're bought into why they're doing it. So is that something that you feel like has helped you with your clients, is like understanding those leadership frameworks?
Oh, 100%. Getting somebody to actually, buy into something makes all the difference. If I talk to a client or I'm on the phone with a prospective client and they're not bought in, it's not going to work out. It's not going to work out for two reasons. One, I'm not going to want to work with them because they're not going to be all in on it. And two, they're also not going to want to even do the work necessary. So they won't, complete it and meet their own goals, reach their own goals. So definitely having them bought in, that's something I work to really ensure they are by, the end of a report call or a sales call or something before taking them onto the team. But buy-in is huge. If they're not bought in, it's not going to go anywhere. They're not going to see any success. And so, yeah, definitely getting people to buy in is huge, man.
Man, I love that concept. There was Albert Einstein had a quote that I love, and he said, rarely do I teach my pupils as much as I create the conditions to make them want to learn. So it's like, even when we're doing like anything that we do within IFCA, we used to really be bad at this, especially me. I'm like, okay, here's everything you need to do. Go do it. Like, here's the steps. And then a lot of people are like, well, why? Like, what's this even mean? It's like, just because I said so. Because it works.
I don't need to give any other reason besides I said to do it.
And then it's like, they don't. I'm like, well, and then something's not working. I'm like, well, I told you to do the thing. What happened? So, I think that's really fascinating, man. For you though, particularly, having that buy-in, what was your buy-in? What was your big motivator to pursue this and ultimately to throw down, on a good size investment, trusting yourself? What was your motivator?
My motivator was definitely, I have a life plan of where I want to go in life. And I also have always, from as young as I can remember, just had this need to help others. So being able to kind of be in a situation where I could take people from being in their current situation, not happy with how they look or how their body is and stuff like that, and take them step by step through a process to build confidence and, find inspiration within themselves. That's my big buy-in, seeing the change from having calls with people on the phone when they're breaking down crying to, sending me messages about, hey, look at, I'm able to see the definition of my legs better. I'm able to put on shorts that I haven't put on before. I'm able to do this and that. Like that transformation and me being able to be the cause of that is huge. Like the financial side that's great, but being able to actually see somebody transform for the better and love who they are more is a huge buy-in for me.
Yeah, man. Well, that's going to be the thing that ultimately contributes to the bigger bankroll is that if
100%. Man.
It's so true, man. It's like, your income is directly proportionate to the amount of impact that you're able to make. Yep. And if you focus on that, then you'll turn around and you're like, oh shit, my bank account keeps going up. It's like, wow, that's interesting.
Yeah. And it's funny because at the beginning of all this, I would just kind of put out products and stuff and programs. But, I was kind of in the mindset of how can I make more money? And when really joining IFCA and relearning a lot of things, it was more like, how can I help people? And when I started focusing on how can I help, that's when literally the money just went up and up and up and everything started coming together and so quickly that I sit back now. I sat back at the end of this last month and was just like, holy crap, literally within 3 months, bringing in 10,400 on my third month and then 9,300 on my second month. It was just like, I didn't realize it was all happening until I did step back to look at what I had made and all that. So it's crazy when you just prioritize helping people, what comes from it.
Yeah. It's a weird feeling, right? Like you can probably resonate with this. I mean, even still, it's like, is that real? How the fuck did that happen?
All the time, dude, all the time. It is super surreal. It's hard to realize that it actually is happening, especially at the pace that it's happened for me. I put in a lot of hard work to get to this point and stuff. I put into action everything that you guys would bring up to put into action. But still it's like, damn, such a short amount of time to be where I am at now. It just blows my mind.
For sure. Well, I want to talk about that specifically, man, because obviously you're not shy of hard work. And, I love people like that, man. I can almost see like the crazy in some people's eye. Like, okay, you're not afraid to like push until your eyeballs will bleed. Like you'll put in the work that is necessary. And like, there is like a certain balance at some point that you have to find, like, especially where you're getting ready to move into, you've put in a lot of those hard work. You have to sacrifice in the beginning, especially if you want to learn the skills quickly, if you want to implement, but then there does come a point when you have to learn to operate in a different way, right? Because like in order to grow your business at this point, Brandon, you can't just work 10 times harder. But when you're starting at the beginning, that's how you grow. You grow by working harder and putting in more inputs. But anyways, to digress a little bit, man, like what did your schedule look like when you got started? And were you overwhelmed? How did you end up getting these pieces in place to just move forward when the unknown is so vague in front of you, right? Like, is this even going to work? What did that look like for you?
So the first month was like definitely intense. I mean, it was nonstop work. It was, working through modules, putting things into practice, creating a strong systems, a good solid back end, getting welcome packets created, just getting everything streamlined for when I do get clients, how the whole process is going to look. And during that month, I got to a couple of points where I was super distressed because one, I was working so much, I literally Monday through Sunday, just putting in time because obviously I'm still in the military. So whenever I had free time, it was straight to the business, to growing it. So I would get to a point where I'm like, man, is anything going to come together? In that first month, I only had one sell. It was a single client that bought a 3-month package. And I charged them $500 because I hadn't raised prices at that point. And I was just like, shit, is this actually going to play out and work out in my benefit? And I just, stuck true to it, kept moving forward. And then when I got to that second month, everything started coming together. I got really on the 11th of my second month, I think that was July. So 11 July, I got my first paid in full client at my new prices. So I started just, making money from there and everything started really moving from there. But there's a lot of self-doubt. There's a lot of worry that it wouldn't go the way that I really had hoped for it to go. But because I pushed through that and persevered through that, and I had, the team of IFCA there to tell me to kind of like, just persevere, work through it. My coach, Corey, was there the whole time telling me to keep moving forward, just go, put these things into place. It'll work out and just give it time. And I did. And here I am now, at this point where things all did come together and did work out.
Man, that's fantastic. It's so much fun, man. And like what happens now is that's a, almost like a self-fulfilling a pattern or prophecy where you've seen that happen once. You're going to be met with new challenges. You're going to face that same feeling again, but you're like, okay, I have proof now that this is going to work. Like all I got to do is keep pushing through. So let's talk about like the commercial side a little bit, man. What were some of the biggest, I guess, beliefs that you had to break in terms of how the business should run and operate? Because I know you mentioned you were selling kind of cheap programs, and like, what did you look at the business model prior and then getting in? And was it hard to be like, fuck, like, like having those beliefs sometimes are the hardest things to get people to undo, to actually apply the things that we're telling them, because it's like, I know you think it should happen this way, but we're telling you it needs to be this way. Like, did you face any of that resistance?
I did for a little bit. So, before the business structure was I charged $200 a month. And then if they signed on for 3 months, it was $500. If they signed on for 6 months, it was $900. So they got a discount for the length of time they were on. And, so that's kind of how I had things in place. I spent a lot of money on things I didn't need to. So like I filed for an LLC, I got an LLC done. I paid for a website. I took probably 2 weeks of my own time building a website, being stressed about it, getting it all together. Yeah. I built it on like Wix or whatever. And in the end, I move and I sign up with you guys and stuff and find out that the LLC was pointless at the, amount of income I was bringing in at the time. And the website was pointless, so I was like, fuck, I just spent money in places that didn't need to be. And then I joined IFCA, obviously, and I learned a bunch of stuff. For that first month, it was hard to just allow what you guys say to like take full hold and just go all in on it. Mm-hmm. And you say something a bunch of times, to imitate before you, what do you say? What is it?
Yeah, it's like, you gotta emulate before you innovate.
Yes, exactly. So, I heard that a bunch and I was like, man, I'm just going to literally copy everything. So like one thing, this is kind of funny, but one thing I would do is I went all in on that eventually, like week 3. I was like, I'm just going to do exactly what Jordan says. So literally I see it in a bunch of your freaking modules and stuff. You have headphones on your head. So I wore headphones on my head for like all the time. Anytime I was doing a sales call, that was part of the process. So like I literally did that. Yeah. Freaking, and it worked out and I created this rhythm and stuff. And another thing that kind of really resonated with me is, you did that, so I copied that, but you also said a bunch of times to take messy, reckless action. And I literally wrote that down on sticky notes on my desk right here. And literally, I just did that. Anytime I was like, man, I don't know if I should do this, whether it was going live or putting a certain post up or jumping on a sales call or whatever, I just repeated that to myself and I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to do it. And if I mess up, then whatever, I'll learn from it and move forward.
Man, that's fantastic. That's badass, man. And yeah, like it's kind of crafting the alter ego. And when I put headphones on, like I've got my brain trained to when headphones come on, it's focus time. Mm-hmm. And like, you got to learn how to focus, man. If you're going to have success in this game, like you got to be able to focus and shut things out, so that's really cool, man. And like having those triggers and having those cues and those processes, I always say like great process drives great results. So like all you got to do is put a process in place, and even a haphazard shitty process is better than none at all. Like
100%. Yeah. 100%.
And you coming from the military, you understand organizational systems, processes, hierarchies. So like for you to be able to just say, okay, like I've got these patterns and skills, how do I just take this and apply it into a business sense? Right.
Right. Yeah. 100%.
Man, that's fascinating, dude. So, yeah, man, that's really cool. So tell me about some of the, most fundamental skills that you you learned and that you feel like you're starting to lean in the business and really enjoy. Like, what are some of the areas of the business that you're like, man, this is kind of my area of genius and something that I'm hoping to double down on and potentially learn, maybe it's delegating other stuff or whatever the case might be. Like, what's the thing that you feel like you excel most at in the business?
So really, once I got past the getting into stories, out like basically showing up like in stories or lives, IGTVs, just content in general, I feel like I excel really well there, because I think that, if I just post a picture or whatever of myself, I believe I come off as like an intimidating person. But once I started doing lives and stuff and people just saw just some normal dude that, lives a normal life or whatever, and I can be funny, and started doing reels and whatever, then I think a lot of people resonated more with that and they're like, oh, this dude's like not a dick, like he's cool. So that started helping out a bunch. So content in general, I've been doubling down on, and that's what's kind of led to where I'm at. I'll have people message me saying, hey, this post really resonated with me. Can we talk more about coaching or something like that? So definitely doubling down is going to be on the content. I've come to like it a lot. And yeah, that's kind of where it is. I'd like to delegate things.
What up, FitBiz squad? Quick interruption here because I want to share with you how you can get access to 30 plus hours of free course material valued at well over $5,000. This is only accessible to our members in our FitBiz Secrets Facebook group. But what you're going to receive inside of this free course is so much good shit. We're going to share with you a step-by-step framework on how we generate $300K a month from a free Facebook group. Now you can too. Our Instagram Secrets Masterclass, how to get 10 to 30 new clients every month and grow your IG following. What systems, apps, and processes we use in our own business, in which we have 250 plus clients around the world, fitness online clients, plus the 700 plus businesses that we've helped build inside of IFCA. You're also going to get our top 10 organic fitness post templates. You're going to get our done for you content calendar, and we're going to help you create an offer that sells itself, along with how to overcome objections on sales calls. Not only that, inside of this course, we're going to give you every replay presentation from our FitBiz live event. Okay, we're talking thousands of dollars worth of value here. Hiring and leadership management with Aaron, Amanda Bucci presented, John Romanello, some top 6 and 7 figure earners in our space share with you the secrets of how they have built their business and tools that you can take away today. So all you have to do, guys, is click the link in the show notes where you'll see a link to join the FitBiz Secrets group, or you can just search Fitness Business Secrets on Facebook in the groups and join. And as soon as you join, you'll see a prompt to get access to the course. Back to the episode.
A way that aren't content related, so I can focus on building content. But no, yeah, that's kind of the biggest skill set I learned through the process for sure.
That's fantastic, man. And that's so important because even like, no matter how big your business gets, that's still got to be a priority. Like where Aaron and I are at, like I need to get better at it. Like we need to, because you got to be front facing. You got to be putting your message out. You got to be connecting with people. That's like going to be so important. The fact that you're like doubling down on that, man, is a really great strategy. I want to come back to one thing you said around like, emulate before you iterate was kind of the whole framework. And it's like, and this is just some extra value for anybody listening to this. It's like, listen, there are 2 types of successful actions in business that you'll come across. The first one are things that you do that yield a positive result. You do something, and for that, like maybe some of that were just some of the simple frameworks in the beginning, right? Like the way we would teach you how to frame captions, the way that we would teach you how to have conversations or whatever. And you see these things work. And it's like, okay, you get a result. What most people do at that point is they're like, okay, that worked, but how do I go find something different that maybe works even better? Instead of just thinking, how do I just do more of that thing that's already worked?
Yeah.
And then the second type of positive result really is like when you're paying for a mentor or a system or advice, and the person says like, do it this way, effectively not doing it that way is like, I like to compare it to just burning your money. It's like, because it's like, okay, it comes from an ego place, or it can come from many places, but oftentimes it's ego where it's like, okay, I know they said that way, but I think my way is going to be better. It's like, God damn it. Like, because once, and the litmus test is, listen, if you've made, this is in a business setting, right? Like if you've made more money than the person that you're paying to teach you this system, cool, do it your way. But until then, do it exactly as they say, right?
100%. Yeah. And that's a problem that I think is just rampant because of pride, and because like people don't want to say, hey, this person's way is better. And, once I just literally did that and followed suit on everything I could that you guys put out, that's when everything grew. And it's just like, it does make no sense to effectively pay somebody to teach you how to do something if you're not going to do what they say. It's pointless at that point. Why spend money if you're not going to follow suit and do the things that they say? It
is super interesting, right? Like human beings are funny, man. And I've had to learn like where my skill sets are in the business, and it's not coaching, because I'm just like, dude, here's what to do it. Where people sometimes require that, that collaborative environment, like having them come to their own conclusions and stuff. And I'm like, I don't feel like asking that many fucking questions. I just want to tell you what to do.
Like getting to the slow process of being like, okay, so now you understand this is the problem, and this is how you fix it. It is a lot of work to get somebody to reach that point. Instead it is far easier to say, just do this, and hopefully you get it done and you're good.
I'm the authoritarian more when it comes to coaching, but let me ask you this, man, like when you first, where did you first come across IFCA? Like what was your first like intro or hear about us? And then take me through like that feeling that you had when you had to make that decision to make the investment. And was that like the first big personal investment you made in terms of like your own growth and skills?
Yeah, for sure. It was the biggest investment I've made up to that point ever. I think it was honestly the first investment I had made up to that point for just skill development, business and stuff. So I found out about the podcast from my girlfriend, who actually followed Aaron and Megan for like years. And so I started, creating my coaching business, and Bianca's just like, hey, you should follow the IFCA or follow Aaron and Jordan and stuff. They have this business and stuff. They teach coaches like how to coach. And I was like, all right, cool. And I actually put it off for like 3 weeks, and she reminded me again. She's like, hey, did you follow them? And I was like, okay, yeah, I'll follow them real quick. And so I started following you guys, seeing your content, listening to the podcast. And there was just so much authenticity through just the both of you and the realness of you. I had listened, I don't know how many freaking like life coaches or business coaches, and they always tried to seem super perfect. Like everything, they were just these immortal type people that they could do everything and do no wrong. And they just knew how to do everything perfectly. And I fucking hated that shit. So honestly, I jumped on and listened to your podcast and stuff. I jumped onto one of your lives, I think, to either Facebook, or it was one that was actually in the Zoom group. Can't remember, but I was super nervous to even like be on there. So I didn't have my camera on. I just had like the letter B, and that was it. Listen to that, and I was kind of like more as just another step of being a little bit more bought in. And after that, I think Aaron reached out and said, hey, let's get on a call to just kind of go over, give you some advice about the process or business or coaching business. So then I set up a call with Hayden, talked to Hayden for like 40 minutes. And within being on a live with you guys and having that conversation with Hayden, it was just like, by the time I got to Hayden, I was just like, this is happening. Mm-hmm. He never asked me at one time, like, hey, do you want to sign up or anything? He was kind of just talking about, how to help me. And I was like, so how does this process work? Like basically, take my money, like whatever it is, like, how am I going to pay for this? Just let me know, like, what is it? How can I do it? And let me get it done, because I know I'm going to do this. I know that, if there's any program out there that is authentic and works, it's this. So just let me pay for it so I can learn what I need to learn, so I can have the success I need to have.
Yeah. Well, man, I appreciate you reflecting on that, because it's cool how that's now become a part of your ethos, right? Like just being who you are, being real online, and like letting people know, like, hey, I don't have shit figured out, right? But like I can help you, and it's like I'm a human, and I just think that is so important. And the fact that you embody that is going to be just so powerful. And it's like what we need in today's fucking, highlight real world. But did you have the money already, set aside? Did you have to go like, get a credit card? How did you end up paying for it? Just curious.
Yeah. So, basically I did everything you would think you should not do. And I'm getting out of the military in like not even a year. So at the time I signed up, it was less than a year as well. And I was like getting debt paid off. I was, getting a nest egg, doing a savings and stuff. And
going the Dave Ramsey model, right?
Yeah. Doing all that stuff. And then freaking, I just reached a point, where I realized I was going to do IFCA. So I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to put it all on a credit card. So I went into debt because I didn't have the money saved to pay for it and stuff. And I was super nervous, but I paid for it on a credit card, and it all paid off in the end, obviously, because I made that well back by now. But yeah, I didn't have the money saved. I didn't have any of that. I had to go into debt to pursue like this dream and go towards, my passion to build my own business. But it was 100% worth it. You guys have said a bunch of times, I've heard other people talk about it before, like you have to spend money to make money at some point. You have to eventually learn, invest in yourself in the wise ways so that you can learn to earn money throughout the process. And that's what I did. And it fucking worked out, man.
Man, I'm pumped. I'm pumped for you, dude. And it like, you're just on a really exciting trajectory too, because like for you to be able to have this much success in a short period of time, it's like, man, what are we going to be able to do with a year, 2 years, And it's important now at the point that you're at too, after these first 3 months, is to shift. There's a book that I'd actually recommend. It's called Infinite Game by Simon Sinek. And he has also a book called Start With Why. It's kind of like a trilogy, if you were, or whatever you would call that. But he talks about how the difference between finite and infinite games. And, basically like a finite business game is essentially like, we're going to win. We're going to be the best. Like we're going to hit these like goals in these 3 months. And I think in the beginning, it's important to operate that way. But then you got to kind of shift and think, okay, how do I create a business that's around in 5 years, in 8 years, in 10 years? Because ultimately, if you're only focused on short-term gain, it can sometimes fuck you over in the long run. And I'm guilty of this in a big way.
Yeah.
But like, what are the decisions that we're making now strategically that we can kind of slow down that are going to maybe pay off in 2, 3, 4 months, right?
Yeah.
So one thing that I wanted to ask you about here, I started to lose my train of thought here, but Kyle, cut this out. What was the fuck that other thing I wanted to ask?
There's the authenticity, man. Perfect.
Yeah. Kyle, never mind. Don't cut this shit out. Yeah, actually, Aaron and I, we've had a few podcasts in the, well, actually even recent, where we've gotten like arguments in the podcast.
Oh,
and,
I've heard them.
Yeah, it's so fun. Kyle has like a standing rule where he's like, nope, those are staying in.
Yep.
But that's something to consider too, man, as a podcast, because I think that your medium and how you get through to people is verbal communication, just talking. And like, is that something you've considered or thought about?
Yeah, it is. It's actually something that was probably the middle of month 2. I was like, I think I want to do that so that one, I can create content mainly to push to Instagram, which is my main platform I use, but also to have that after a while of working on it and stuff, I'll have this library of stuff that people can go to, and, maybe that will build as well. But yeah, I've considered it a bunch of times. I actually like bought a mic and different stuff and recording devices for the computer and stuff just to put that all out.
Right on, man. Well, yeah, we can talk about that more. We'll schedule in a call and we can kind of brainstorm on, just some things I've learned, some advice. Yeah. And Kyle does also have like a masterclass in the course if you want to go through that. And okay. I'll give you some advice, man. But the best thing I could give is like, don't fuck with all this shit. Like just fucking sit down and start recording and then like put these pieces in place as it goes. It's like the messy action thing.
100%.
So let me ask you this, a couple more questions and then we'll kind of wrap up. But what was, tell me a little bit about who you help, right? Because we have a lot of just also people who listen to the podcast for fitness advice and just be around. So I want to make sure I help get your name out, because male coaches, I think, are especially, they're not hard to come by in the fitness industry, but the ones who are doing it in the right way, right? Who are kind of specialized. They help people in the right way. There's, and I think that it's important to like get people like you out there, because there are a lot of people who need like a good masculine male influence from a coaching angle, man. So tell me a little bit about who you help.
So right now my main clientele is moms, just moms that are really looking to get back into either pre-baby shape or just get into the best shape of their life. Because there's a lot of emotion that comes from one, having children, but also it's very easy for mothers to kind of lose sight of who they are because they're putting so much time towards their children that they very easily kind of let themselves go and they kind of fall off and they're not able to hold as tightly to what their physique was prior. So that's my main audience, is just moms that are ready to take action and take control of their life and get back in shape or get into shape for the first time. At first with all this, I thought that I'd be working with a lot of dudes. And so that was kind of like who I, tried to cater to and work with and stuff. But it just so happened that, kind of the people who moved towards me were just women who, needed help. And so that's kind of, I changed my frame of thinking and started working with moms. And it's been great. There's a lot of excitement and enjoyment with seeing a mom who's, breaking down on the phone with me at one point to being proud of where she is, down the road as time goes on. So yeah, that's the main group right now that I'm working with. Man,
that's fantastic. And I think that's a powerful lesson in, getting over kind of like the imposter syndrome. And I've worked with a lot of guys who refused, like most guys will not accept the fact that like, I want to work with dudes who want to train like an athlete. And it's like, okay, I get it. Like, I understand, right? It's like, cause you're passionate about that. And it's like, look, I get that, but I'm also more passionate about snowboarding than I am, business coaching or fitness coaching. Yeah. But I'm not over here teaching people how to snowboard. Like what's the type of person that you can make the most imprint on and impact? Like who can you help the most? And how do you double down on that? Right? Because at some point you got to realize that businesses don't exist to serve the owner. They exist to serve the people.
100%. Yes.
Was that kind of hard to kind of come to on your end or anything like that?
I think at the beginning, initially, I think when anybody starts a business and they're trying to get off the ground, the thought is like, I need to make money. So they start focusing on the financial side of things. But the more you focus on the financial side of things, the less you're focusing on the people you're trying to help. And if you're not helping anybody, you're not going to make any money. So, there's that whole thing. And I kind of thought that way for the first probably 3 weeks of IFCA and then the initial portion of when I started my business too. But when I reframed it the way I thought and realized I have to help people, like, let me just try helping people. Let's forget about the money. If I help people, at least I'm doing something that's benefiting people in general, just like the world, hopefully we can help others. Yeah. I mean, you talk about it all the time. The reality is there's an obesity crisis in the world, so it's like, let's do everything we can to solve that, so let me just help people not deal with that pain or those struggles anymore. And so once I did, and I started helping others, that's when things came to fruition and it all just worked out, so. That's
fantastic. Yeah. And I like to look at it in a way too, of like, what are the starving markets? What are the markets that really need help? And one of those are moms. You know, there are a lot of women out there who need help, who have had children recently, who have lost their way, lost their confidence, their sense of self. And man, it's a starving market. And I'm like, listen, if you have a good market like that, you know, I always use the analogy of like, I could be standing outside of a bar at 2 a.m. selling hot dogs, and I could literally not even speak English. I could be blind and deaf, and I'm going to sell all those hot dogs.
Yeah, 100%. You just got to look for the right market and stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And it's worked out really well. One thing that I will note with, you know, working with moms and stuff is the importance of understanding who you're working with, because I've talked to a lot of moms that I've had to make the first engagement of saying, you know, hey, what's up? If you ever need any help or advice or anything, reach out and I'll help you. And them responding with, I'm really glad you reached out because I need help, but I was too nervous to say anything. It's like, yeah, so, you know, you have to do everything you can to reach these people and talk to these people and try to create conversations, because some people are too afraid to say, hey, I need help.
Yep. I'm so glad you said that, man. It's leadership. It's a leadership approach to client acquisition. You've got to be the leader, because people need leadership. And what leadership means is sometimes making that first interaction, giving them the space, opening the door, you know, like, well, that's what leaders do. Normal people sit back and expect people to just come to them. Right. But it's like you having like a responsibility to leadership. It almost gives you that motivation. Like, listen, I have an obligation to open the door for the people I might be able to help. So I think that's powerful, man. Thanks for sharing that.
100%. Of course, man.
Cool. So fill me in here. Last question, man. Like, what's next? What are your next sort of goals, vision? Where do you want this business to be, and what do you want your life to look like in the next year?
So the next year, I'll have fully transitioned out of the Army and stuff. You know, I've made 10K months in 3 months. So I see in the next 6 months being at 20 to 30K. The big goal for the next like 2 to 3 years is 50K months, and just wrapping up a real solid years and stuff, so that I can focus on other businesses I'd like to work on down the road. You know, those are like down the road. But so yeah, just really expanding the business, getting more clientele, eventually hiring assistants and assistant coaches and that kind of thing to expand and just influence more people as well as I can. Right
on, man. Well, that's powerful. Well, dude, thank you for, you know, sharing all this, guys. And I want you to also take something away. Oftentimes when we have client guests on, they're the individuals who we work with that I know that can provide massive value to you guys as an audience. And it's not just to sit here and tell you about like, oh, look how we helped Brandon get XY results. And it's not even what Brandon is saying, but I want you guys to pay attention to how he's saying it, how effective his communication is, how clear he is, the certainty in Brandon's voice, because those are intangibles which are so essential to having success in this world and this business. So it's like whenever I go to an event, like I've been to Tony Robbins a couple times, and like I'll watch these speakers and I'm not even so much worried about what they're saying. I'm just paying attention to how they're saying it, because that's where the magic is. Yeah.
Yeah. That's 100% where the magic is. If you're able to influence people through the words you speak, you know, I mean, that's where all communication happens. You know, how are you presenting yourself, holding yourself, speaking to others? Because I've watched Tony Robbins for years, and he's phenomenal at speaking, you know? So yeah, I'm taken back sometimes about how well somebody can just get their message across.
Absolutely. Same, man. That's a fascination of mine too. Like guys like him, it's like with such few words as possible. And then it's just with such deep conviction. And he's like, wow, like Tony Robbins is not human. Like I'm convinced.
No, he's a different kind of being, man.
Yeah.
Different kind of being.
Well, cool, guys. Hopefully this is valuable. Brandon, just let the audience know, you know, where they can find you at, if they want to follow you, connect with you, just throw out your social media handles. And guys, appreciate you all listening.
Yeah. So if you want to follow me, my main platform is Instagram. My handle is Papa Bear Buyer. Papa and Bear are spelled how you think they are. Buyer is Beyer. And yeah, I'm mainly on Instagram. That's really the only place I'm at. So that's where you'll find me.
Right on, guys. Cool. Well, hey, man, thank you again. And we'll talk to you guys soon.
Thank you so much for listening. And if you found this episode valuable, here are 4 ways we can help you start or grow your business for free. So first, follow Impact Fitness Coaching Academy on Instagram, where we share daily tips, strategies, and tactics to help you sign more clients and grow your business. Secondly, if you'd like to receive our free content planner for online coaches, hundreds of prompts, templates, and systems to track more leads and close those leads, just go to impactfitnesscoachingacademy.com/content calendar.
And third, if you would like to learn exactly how we would rebuild our 7-figure online coaching company from the ground up, including every single step, go to www.impactfitnesscoachingacademy.com/audiobook to download our free audiobook 100% for free. Lastly, if you would, please leave us a 5-star rating and a review in iTunes. It takes less than 2 minutes, and this will really help us gain access to more influential people and business leaders and fitness experts to bring that lesson and those lessons and education back to the show. Thank you guys again, and we'll see you on the next episode.